Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. I'm so happy you're here with me. Today, we're going to talk about a question that many English learners ask. How can I learn English easily without too much stress? If you've ever felt that learning English is too hard or takes too much time, then this episode is perfect for you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Maria, and I've been helping people just like you learn English in a way that is simple, natural, and even fun. Over the years, I've seen many students get frustrated with traditional methods. They feel like they are not improving as fast as they want, and that can be really discouraging. But here's the good news. Learning English doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to feel like a big challenge every day. In fact, learning English can be simple, fun, and yes, almost effortless. Now, you might be wondering, how can learning English be effortless? Well, the key is in how you approach learning. You don't need to spend hours studying every day or memorizing long lists of vocabulary. Instead, you can make small changes to the way you practice English. These small changes will help you improve naturally without feeling stressed or overwhelmed. In this podcast, I'm going to share practical tips that you can start using right away. It doesn't matter if you're just starting or if you've been learning for a while. These tips will help you practice speaking and listening in ways that fit easily into your daily life. You'll learn how to immerse yourself in English without it feeling like work. Make listening and speaking a daily habit. Keep your learning fun and motivating. I want you to remember something very important. You are already capable of learning English. You don't need to struggle or do it the hard way. The key is to be patient, consistent, and positive. In today's episode, we'll explore how to make English learning a part of your life in a way that feels natural and enjoyable. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of easy, effortless English learning together. Understanding effortless learning. Before we talk about methods and techniques, let's first understand what we mean by effortless learning. You might be thinking, is it really possible to learn English without working hard? The answer is yes, and here's why. When we think about learning, most of us imagine sitting at a desk, memorizing words, and studying grammar rules. We picture hours of studying, feeling stressed, and worrying if we are making progress. But this approach is not always effective, especially for learning a language like English. Instead of thinking of learning as hard work, try to think of it as something natural and enjoyable. That's what effortless learning is all about. Effortless learning means removing the stress and pressure that usually comes with studying. It's about using methods that feel easy, fun, and even relaxing. Imagine learning English without forcing yourself to study for hours or feeling anxious about making mistakes. When learning feels enjoyable, your brain actually absorbs new information more easily. You'll find yourself improving without even realizing it. When you stop worrying about making mistakes, something amazing happens. You start learning English just by living it. This may sound too good to be true, but it really works. Many successful language learners follow this approach without even realizing it. Shift your mindset. The first step to learning English effortlessly is to change the way you think about learning itself. Many learners believe they have to work extremely hard or memorize everything to succeed. But learning doesn't have to feel like a struggle. If you approach English with a positive mindset, focusing on progress rather than perfection, you'll begin to enjoy the process. The less pressure you put on yourself, the more natural you are. Learning will feel. Remember, small improvements every day are more important than trying to be perfect immediately. Learn through experience, not memorization. One common mistake is focusing too much on memorizing words and grammar rules. Yes, vocabulary and grammar are important, but they shouldn't be your only focus. Instead, try learning through real experiences. This means listening to podcasts, watching TV shows or movies, reading books or articles, having conversations in English. When you experience English in real-life situations, Your brain starts to understand it naturally, without memorizing everything. Think about how you learned your first language as a child. You didn't sit down to study grammar rules. You learned by listening to your family, watching TV, and playing with friends. The more you were exposed to the language, the better you got at speaking and understanding it. The same principle works for English. The more you surround yourself with it, the easier it becomes to pick up. Make learning part of your daily life. Effortless learning happens when English becomes a natural part of your everyday routine. Instead of setting aside long hours for study, you can blend English into your daily activities. Here are some simple ways to do that. Listen to an English podcast while commuting. Watch your favorite movies with English subtitles. Change the language settings on your phone or social media to English. These small changes add up over time and help you feel more comfortable with the language. Focus on listening and speaking. Many learners struggle with speaking English because they feel nervous about making mistakes. But here's a secret. One of the easiest ways to learn English effortlessly is by focusing on listening and speaking.
Why?
Because these are the most natural ways humans learn language. When you listen regularly, you start noticing new words, phrases, and sentence structures. When you speak, you practice using these words in real conversations. Don't worry about being perfect. The goal is to become comfortable with the language. The more you listen and speak, the easier it will feel, and gradually, speaking English will become second nature. Celebrate small wins. Learning English effortlessly isn't about achieving perfection right away. It's about making steady progress, little by little. Every time you understand a sentence, use a new word, or finish a conversation in English, that's a win. Celebrate it. These small victories build your confidence and motivation to keep going. Over time, it's important to celebrate every little victory. Maybe you learned a new word today. Maybe you completed a simple conversation in English. Or maybe you watched a movie without needing subtitles. These small wins are important. When you focus on them, you'll stay motivated and continue improving without feeling stressed or overwhelmed. Consistency over intensity. One of the keys to effortless learning is consistency, not intensity. Many learners think they need to study for hours each day to see progress. But the truth is, it's much more effective to practice a little every day. Even if you only have 15 minutes a day, consistent practice adds up over time. Short, regular sessions are far more effective than long, occasional study marathons. It's the steady, daily effort that leads to real improvement. Make it fun. Finally, effortless learning is all about having fun. When learning is enjoyable, you naturally want to keep doing it. Find ways to make English interesting for you. Maybe it's listening to your favorite songs, watching TV shows, playing games, or talking to friends. The more fun it is, the less it will feel like work, and the faster you'll improve. In conclusion, effortless learning means making English a natural part of your everyday life. It's about changing your mindset, practicing listening and speaking regularly, focusing on real experiences, and not stressing about perfection. By following these tips, you can learn English with ease, without the pressure and frustration that often comes with traditional methods. Immersing yourself in English. One of the most powerful ways to learn English effortlessly is by immersing yourself in the language. But what does immersion really mean, and how can you do it effectively? Let's dive in. What is immersion? Immersion means surrounding yourself with English as much as possible. When you immerse yourself, you're constantly exposed to the language through listening, reading, and speaking until it becomes a natural part of your daily life. Think back to how you learned your first language. You didn't sit in a classroom memorizing grammar rules. You learned by being around people who spoke that language all the time. You listened, you watched, you talked, and slowly it became second nature. Language learning works the same way with English. The more you expose yourself to it in everyday situations, the easier it becomes to understand, speak, and even think in English. The key is consistency. The more often you practice and immerse yourself, the faster you'll improve. How to immerse yourself in English. One of the best ways to immerse yourself is by listening to English regularly. Listening helps you recognize words, understand sentence structures, and develop a natural feel for how the language flows. The good news is you can do this while doing other activities, so it fits easily into your daily life. For example, listen to podcasts that match your level and interests. Watch TV shows or movies in English. Listen to audiobooks or music in English. There are podcasts for beginners, intermediate learners, and advanced learners, so you can always find something that's just right for you. Another great way to immerse yourself in English is by listening and enjoying different types of content. Here are some ideas. Podcasts. Listening to podcasts is one of the easiest ways to improve your English. You can find stories, interviews, and discussions about many interesting topics. Try podcasts like English Amazing Podcast or other similar ones to practice both speaking and listening. By listening regularly, you'll naturally start picking up new words and sentence structures. Music. Listening to English music is not only fun, but also very helpful for learning. Pay attention to the lyrics and try to understand the meaning of the words. You can even sing along to improve your pronunciation and fluency. Music makes learning enjoyable, and it helps your brain remember words better. Audiobooks. If you enjoy reading, audiobooks are perfect. You can listen and read at the same time, which helps you learn vocabulary and context, and improves your comprehension. Pick books that interest you, and follow along with the text while listening. Movies and TV shows. Watching movies or TV shows in English is another excellent way to immerse yourself. You can start with subtitles in your native language and then switch to English subtitles as you improve. This way, you'll learn everyday vocabulary, slang, and expressions that native speakers actually use. Change your environment to English. To fully immerse yourself, try to surround yourself with English in your daily life. Here are some simple ways to do that. Change your phone and social media settings to English. The more you see English, the easier it is to learn. Label objects around your home. Stick small notes on things like your refrigerator, desk, or doors with their English names. Every time you use them, you'll remember the words. Follow English accounts on social media. Whether it's Instagram, YouTube, or Twitter, consuming English content keeps you connected to the language. Speak with others. One of the most effective ways to learn English is by talking to native speakers or fluent learners. Speaking helps you practice in real-life situations and builds your confidence. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. This is how learning happens. Here are some ways to practice speaking. Language exchange partners. Find someone learning your native language and do a language swap. Spend half the time speaking English and half the time in your language. Apps like Tandem, HelloTalk, or Speaky make it easy to find partners. Speak with friends. If you have friends who are fluent in English, try speaking with them, even for a few minutes a day. It's great practice. Online classes or speaking clubs. Many online platforms offer one-on-one lessons with native speakers, like Italki or Camly. You can also join speaking clubs to chat with other learners and native speakers. Read in English every day. Reading is another excellent way to immerse yourself. It helps you improve your vocabulary. Learn how sentences are structured. See how English is used in real life. Even a few minutes of reading each day can make a big difference. Choose books, articles, or websites that interest you, so it's enjoyable and motivating. Another important part of learning English effortlessly is reading and writing in English. These skills help you improve your vocabulary, understand sentence structures, and become more confident in expressing yourself. Let's go through some simple ways to get started. Reading in English. 1. Books. Start with books that match your level. If you're a beginner, simple books are perfect. Children's books are a great option because they often use easy vocabulary and short sentences. As you get more comfortable, you can move on to more challenging books. The key is to start small and gradually increase the difficulty. 2. Articles and blogs. If you have a specific interest, try reading blogs, articles, or websites in English about that topic. This is a fun way to learn new vocabulary that is relevant to your life and interests. 3. News in English. Reading the news in English helps you talk about current events and improves your formal vocabulary. There are websites like BBC Learning English or News in Levels that provide news in simple English, which is especially helpful for beginners. Writing in English. Even though writing isn't always part of immersion, it's a powerful way to practice English. Writing helps you remember new vocabulary, improve grammar, get comfortable forming sentences. You can start small. Keep a journal and write about your day, your thoughts, or what you've learned. The more you practice writing, the more confident you'll become in expressing yourself in English. Engage in online communities. Another great way to practice writing is by joining online forums, social media groups, or comment sections where people discuss topics in English. The more you write, the better your skills will become. The power of consistency. The most important thing in immersion is consistency. The more time you spend with English every day, the more naturally you'll learn it. Just like when you learned your first language, you won't notice the changes immediately. But over time, you'll see clear improvement in your ability to understand, speak, and even think in English. Focus on listening and speaking. While reading and writing are important, listening and speaking are the foundation of learning a language effortlessly. These skills are often the hardest to practice in traditional classrooms, but they are also the most effective for real-life communication. Let's talk about why listening and speaking are so crucial. 1. Listening. Listening helps you understand English in real-life situations. By listening to native speakers, you learn how words are pronounced, how sentences flow, how language is used in different contexts. Regular listening improves your vocabulary, comprehension, and pronunciation, often without you even realizing it. 2. Speaking builds confidence. It allows you to actively use the English you've learned. Many learners focus too much on reading and writing and forget to practice speaking. But the more you speak, the more natural it becomes. Speaking is the fastest way to put your English knowledge into practice. By focusing on listening and speaking regularly, you'll find that learning English becomes easier, more enjoyable, and a natural part of your daily life. As you practice speaking, you'll notice something amazing. The more confident you become, the easier it gets. Speaking not only builds confidence, but it also solidifies your language skills. When you speak, you have to recall vocabulary and grammar in real time, which helps you use English more naturally. The more you practice, the more fluent you'll become. Listening and speaking go hand in hand. Listening and speaking are closely connected. When you listen to English, you hear new words and phrases. Later, when you speak, you can use those words and phrases in your own sentences. By listening first, you prepare your brain to understand and produce English when it's your turn to speak. How to improve your listening skills. Improving your listening doesn't mean sitting in front of a textbook for hours or doing difficult exercises. The key is to make listening a regular and enjoyable part of your life. Here are some tips. 1. Listen to content you enjoy. Choose podcasts, music, TV shows, movies, or audiobooks that interest you. Whether you like storytelling, sports, news, or comedy, the more you enjoy the content, the more you'll want to listen. For example, podcasts like English Amazing Podcast are great because they expose you to natural English and are fun to listen to. Try listening while doing everyday tasks like cooking, cleaning, or commuting. 2. Use subtitles or transcripts. If you're watching a movie or TV show, start with subtitles in your native language. As you improve, switch to English subtitles. This helps connect spoken words with their written form and improves both your listening and reading skills. Many podcasts and audiobooks also provide transcripts. Listening while reading the transcript reinforces what you hear and helps you understand better. 3. Practice active listening. Active listening means giving your full attention to what you're hearing. Try to focus on details like new vocabulary, idioms, or phrases. This helps improve your comprehension and ensures you truly understand the language, rather than just hearing it passively. 4. Start with slow and clear speech. When you're beginning, it's easier to learn from slower, clearer English. Many learners struggle with native speakers because they talk quickly. Look for resources made for English learners, such as YouTube videos or podcasts designed for beginners. These are slower and easier to follow, making it easier to absorb the language. How to improve your speaking skills. Now that you understand listening, it's time to focus on speaking. Speaking is a skill that improves with practice, and you don't need to wait until you're perfect to start. 1. Speak as much as possible. The more you speak, the easier it becomes. Try to practice English every day, even for a few minutes. Speak with friends, language partners, or even practice out loud by yourself. The important thing is to use the language actively. 2. Don't fear mistakes. Mistakes are part of learning. Every time you make a mistake and correct it, you learn something new. Speaking regularly, even imperfectly, is far more effective than waiting to speak perfectly. 3. Use new words and phrases you hear. When you listen to English, pick up words or expressions and try using them in your conversations. This helps your brain connect listening with speaking, making the language feel more natural. By focusing on listening first and speaking often, you'll notice that learning English becomes much easier and more enjoyable. Over time, speaking and understanding English will start to feel natural, almost effortless. The simplest way to improve your speaking skills is just to speak. At first, it might feel intimidating, but the more you speak, the more fluent you'll become. If you don't have anyone to practice with in person, there are still plenty of options. Online platforms. You can practice with native speakers or other learners using apps and websites. Practice alone. Talk to yourself in English about your day, your plans, or your thoughts. This may feel a little strange at first, but it's an excellent way to build confidence. You can also record yourself speaking and listen back to notice areas where you can improve. Don't fear mistakes. Many learners are afraid of making mistakes while speaking. But mistakes are a natural and important part of learning. Every time you make a mistake, learn from it and move forward. Over time, as you become more comfortable, you'll make fewer mistakes and speak more confidently. Find a language exchange partner. Another great way to practice is by finding a language exchange partner. This is someone who is learning your native language and wants to practice English. You can spend half the time speaking English and half the time speaking your language. Apps like HelloTalk, Tandem, and Speaky are excellent tools for finding partners. Join online speaking clubs or classes. Many online communities allow you to practice English in a supportive environment. You can join virtual speaking clubs or conversation classes, participate in group discussions, or practice with teachers and fellow learners. Regular practice in a supportive space helps you improve faster and gain confidence. Imitate native speakers. A powerful way to improve your pronunciation and fluency is by imitating native speakers. Listen carefully to how they speak, their tone, rhythm, and pronunciation, and try to copy it. This technique, called shadowing, helps improve your accent and makes your speech flow more naturally. Set realistic speaking goals. Set small, achievable goals for your speaking practice. For example, have a 5-minute conversation in English each day. Introduce yourself in front of a mirror. Small goals keep you motivated and help you gradually build confidence over time. The power of combining listening and speaking. The real magic happens when you combine listening and speaking. The more you listen, the more words, phrases, and sentence structures you'll hear. Then, when you speak, you start using those patterns naturally. Speaking reinforces what you've learned through listening, and listening helps you improve your speaking. This creates a cycle where listening and speaking support each other. With consistent practice, these skills start to feel natural, making English learning effortless. Learn vocabulary in context. When it comes to learning English, one of the most effective ways to expand your vocabulary is to learn words in context. Simply memorizing long lists of words without knowing how they are used in real life makes them harder to remember. Learning vocabulary through context by listening, reading, and seeing how words are used in sentences helps you understand meaning, usage, and pronunciation. Words you learn in context stick better and are easier to use naturally in conversation. Learning vocabulary in context is one of the most effective ways to expand your English skills naturally. Instead of just memorizing words, you learn how words are actually used in sentences, conversations, and real-life situations. This makes your English sound much more natural. Why learning vocabulary in context matters. 1. Improves retention. When you learn a word through context, like in a story, a conversation, or a movie, you're more likely to remember it. Seeing how a word is used in a sentence gives you a mental picture of it in action. Later, when you want to use it in your own conversation or writing, it's easier to recall. 2. Helps you understand nuances. Many English words have multiple meanings depending on the situation. For example, the word bank can mean a financial institution or the side of a river. If you only memorize the definition, it can be confusing. Learning words in context helps you understand these subtle differences and know which meaning to use. 3. Supports natural use of vocabulary. Knowing a word's definition is only part of learning. You also need to know how it sounds, how it's pronounced, and how it fits grammatically into sentences. When you learn words in context, you naturally pick up these details, which helps you use the word correctly and fluently. 4. Makes learning fun and engaging. Learning vocabulary through stories, movies, or songs keeps the process interesting. Instead of memorizing boring lists, you discover new words as part of an engaging story or conversation. This makes learning enjoyable and much easier to stick with. How to learn vocabulary in context. Here are some practical ways to make vocabulary learning more effective. 1. Read stories and articles. Reading is one of the best ways to learn vocabulary naturally. When you read books, stories, articles, or blogs, you encounter new words in real situations. For example, in a novel, you'll see words used in conversations, descriptions, and settings. Tips. Try to guess the meaning of unknown words based on the surrounding sentences. Choose material that interests you. If you enjoy the topic, you'll stay engaged and pick up new words effortlessly. 2. Watch movies and TV shows. Watching movies or TV shows in English is another excellent way to learn vocabulary in context. You hear words used in natural conversations, which helps you understand their meaning, pronunciation, and real-life usage. You can also see body language, gestures, and emotions, which makes the meaning even clearer. Tips. Start with subtitles in your native language if needed. As you improve, switch to English subtitles to connect spoken and written language. 3. Listen to podcasts and audiobooks. Listening to podcasts or audiobooks exposes you to English in real situations. You hear words and phrases in context, which helps you understand how they're used naturally. Podcasts and audiobooks also improve your listening skills while teaching you new vocabulary. By learning vocabulary this way, words stick in your memory better and feel natural when you use them in conversation. Over time, your English becomes smoother, more fluent, and much easier to use. Audiobooks are an excellent way to immerse yourself in English. Just like movies, TV shows, and podcasts, audiobooks give you context through spoken words. You'll hear words used in different situations, which helps you understand their meanings more naturally. Audiobooks are especially useful because you can see the written form of the words while you listen, reinforcing what you hear. This combination of listening and reading helps your brain remember vocabulary more effectively. Tip: after listening to a podcast or audiobook, try summarizing the main points in your own words. Use any new vocabulary you learned. This simple practice helps you remember the words and use them in your own speech. Engage in conversations. Speaking with others is one of the most powerful ways to learn vocabulary and context. Whether you're talking to a friend, a language partner, or a teacher, conversations allow you to use new words, see how others naturally use vocabulary, practice forming sentences. As you speak, you'll start to understand how words fit naturally into conversation. Tip: don't be afraid to make mistakes. Every mistake is an opportunity to learn. The more you practice using new words, the more confident and fluent you will become. Use vocabulary in sentences. Instead of just memorizing lists of words, try to use new words in sentences. This helps you understand how the words work in real communication. Example: when you learn a new word, write it in a sentence. Start with simple sentences and gradually make them more complex. This practice helps you see how the word fits into different contexts. Group words by themes. Grouping words by themes or categories, like food, travel, emotions, or work, makes learning easier and more organized. Example: if you're learning words about food, group words like delicious, spicy, sour, and bitter together. Learning related words in context makes them easier to remember and use correctly. Tip: use flashcards or apps like Anki or Quizlet to organize and test your vocabulary. Create sets of related words and review them regularly. Make connections to your life. To make new vocabulary stick, connect words to your own experiences. For example, if you learn the word adventure, think about your own trips or exciting experiences. Personal connections make words more meaningful and easier to remember. Tip: keep a vocabulary journal. Write down new words and include personal examples of how they relate to your life. This reinforces learning and makes the words more memorable. The power of repetition and practice. No matter how you learn vocabulary in context, repetition is key. The more often you see, hear, and use a word in different situations, the stronger your memory of it becomes. Repetition also shows you how words are used in various contexts, reinforcing their meaning. Tip: review new vocabulary regularly. Go back to stories, podcasts, or articles and see the words again. This repetition helps the words stick and become part of your natural English. One of the most important habits you can develop when learning English is consistent practice. Many learners think that cramming for long hours or having intensive study sessions is the best way to improve. But research and experience show that regular, consistent practice is far more effective for long-term success. Why consistency is key. 1. Improves retention over time. When you practice consistently, your brain has time to absorb information gradually. You're not overwhelming yourself with too much new material at once. Instead, you give your mind time to process and store what you've learned. This leads to better long-term memory for vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. 2. Avoids burnout. Intensive practice can feel productive in the short term, but it can quickly lead to burnout. Trying to learn too much too fast can be exhausting and frustrating, which might cause you to lose motivation. By practicing in small, manageable chunks, you avoid burnout and keep learning enjoyable and sustainable. 3. Builds a habit. Consistency turns learning into a habit. When you practice English every day, even for just 15 to 20 minutes, you create a routine that naturally becomes part of your life. Over time, this routine becomes so ingrained that it feels strange not to practice. Habits are much easier to maintain than occasional long study sessions. 4. Enhances fluency. Regular practice helps you become more fluent. When you expose yourself to English consistently, you start thinking in English, which is a crucial step toward fluency. By practicing a little every day, you improve incrementally. Eventually, speaking and understanding English will feel natural and effortless. How to practice consistently. Now that we understand why consistency is so important, let's look at some practical strategies to make it work for you. 1. Set a realistic schedule. Create a schedule that fits into your daily life. Instead of long, exhausting study sessions, set aside a few minutes each day. For example, practice for 15 to 20 minutes every morning or evening. Remember, consistency is more important than the length of each session. Tip: it's better to practice a little every day than to study for hours once a week. Short daily sessions help keep the language fresh in your mind and make learning feel effortless. 2. Make English part of your day. You can practice English without changing your whole routine. Listen to podcasts while commuting, watch a short video during a break, or read a few sentences from a book before bed. These small daily actions add up over time and help you improve naturally. 3. Track your progress. Keep a simple journal or checklist of your daily practice. Writing down what you did, new words you learned, or sentences you practiced helps you see your progress. Seeing small wins every day keeps you motivated and consistent. By focusing on small, regular practice sessions, you create a steady path to fluency. Over time, English becomes a natural part of your life, and learning starts to feel effortless. One of the best ways to prevent forgetting what you learn and to practice consistently is to incorporate English into your daily life. You don't always need to set aside separate study time. English can become part of your routine naturally. Apps like Duolingo, Babbel, or Anki are great for practicing English consistently. They offer short, bite-sized lessons that take just a few minutes to complete, making them perfect for busy learners. You can even set daily reminders to practice. Tip: set a small daily goal in your app, such as learning 10 new words or phrases. These little achievements will keep you motivated and make consistent learning easy. Practice speaking with a language partner. Speaking regularly is essential for improving fluency. If you don't have someone nearby, you can use online platforms to connect with native speakers or other learners. Even 10 to 15 minutes of conversation a day makes a big difference. Tip: don't worry about speaking perfectly. Making mistakes is part of learning, and each conversation will help you get better. Track your progress. Keeping track of your learning is a great way to stay motivated. Use a journal or an app to record new vocabulary you've learned, grammar points you've mastered, speaking achievements. Tip: review your progress weekly or monthly. Seeing how far you've come encourages you to keep practicing. Set achievable goals. Small, realistic goals keep you motivated. Instead of aiming for perfection, focus on steady progress. Examples: learn 10 new words each week. Hold a 5-minute conversation in English by the end of the month. Breaking larger goals into smaller, manageable steps makes progress feel more attainable and prevents you from getting overwhelmed. Make practice enjoyable. One of the keys to consistent learning is having fun. When you enjoy the process, you're more likely to stick with it over time. Find ways to make English learning interesting for you. Music, TV shows, games, or conversations with friends. The more enjoyable your practice, the more consistent you'll be, and over time, English will start to feel like a natural part of your daily life. Make learning fun. One of the best ways to stay consistent in learning English is to combine practice with activities you enjoy. If you love watching movies, try watching English films with subtitles. If music is your passion, listen to English songs and focus on understanding the lyrics. The more you enjoy what you're doing, the more likely you are to practice regularly. When learning feels like fun instead of a chore, it naturally becomes part of your routine. Tip: don't force yourself to practice things you don't enjoy. Find activities that keep you engaged and excited about learning. Avoid the trap of intensity. It can be tempting to dedicate long hours to studying English all at once, but intensive study sessions are not always effective. Spending too much time in one sitting can lead to frustration and burnout. Instead, focus on consistent, regular practice. Short, daily sessions are more sustainable and allow for gradual, steady progress. Tip: if you ever feel frustrated or burned out, take a short break and return later. Regular practice over time will always yield better results than trying to do everything in one go. Stay positive and motivated. Learning English, like any new skill, comes with challenges. There will be moments of doubt, frustration, or slow progress. Maintaining a positive mindset and staying motivated is essential to learning English effortlessly. Why staying positive matters. 1. Overcomes doubts and fears. Learning a new language can feel intimidating, especially when progress seems slow. It's easy to think, I'm not good enough or I'll never get it. Staying positive helps you push through these moments and stay focused on your long-term goals. It reminds you that mistakes are part of the learning process. 2. Increases motivation. Believing in your ability to improve is a powerful motivator. When you stay positive, you're more likely to stay committed to your learning journey. Negative thoughts, on the other hand, can lead to burnout or loss of interest. 3. Promotes resilience. Challenges are a natural part of learning English, whether it's vocabulary, grammar, or speaking. A positive mindset helps you view these challenges as opportunities to grow rather than obstacles. This makes it easier to bounce back from setbacks. 4. Improves retention. Positive emotions actually help your brain learn and remember new information. When you feel excited, motivated, or happy, your brain is more receptive to new vocabulary and language patterns. Stress and negativity, however, can make learning harder. By staying positive and enjoying the learning process, you create an environment where your brain can absorb English naturally. Over time, learning becomes easier, more enjoyable, and even effortless. How to stay motivated. Motivation is key to staying on track with your English learning goals. When you feel motivated, learning becomes easier, more enjoyable, and even effortless. Here are some practical ways to keep your motivation high. 1. Set clear and achievable goals. One of the most effective ways to stay motivated is to set clear, realistic goals. Break big goals into smaller, manageable steps. Example: instead of trying to speak English fluently right away, start by learning 5 new words each week or holding a short conversation in English by the end of the month. Tip: make your goals specific and realistic. Achieving these small steps will keep you moving forward without feeling overwhelmed. 2. Celebrate your small wins. Every little achievement counts. Each time you learn a new word, understand a conversation, or complete a lesson, take a moment to celebrate. These small wins create momentum and keep your motivation high. Tip: reward yourself when you reach a milestone. Treat yourself to something special or enjoy a fun activity. Positive reinforcement makes learning even more enjoyable. 3. Track your progress. It's easy to feel like you're not improving, especially with a language as complex as English. That's why tracking your progress is so important. Keep a journal or use an app to record new vocabulary, grammar lessons, and speaking achievements. Review your earlier entries from time to time. You'll be amazed at how much you've improved. 4. Find your why. Understanding why you want to learn English is essential for staying motivated. Are you learning for career opportunities, travel, or to communicate with family and friends? Having a clear reason gives you the determination to continue, even when learning feels challenging. Tip: write down your reasons for learning English and revisit them whenever you feel discouraged. This will remind you of your purpose and reignite your motivation. 5. Mix up your learning methods. Learning English doesn't have to be boring. If you find yourself getting tired of the same routine, try new ways to practice. Examples: watch English TV shows or movies. Listen to podcasts or music. Read books or articles. Join a language exchange group. Variety keeps your learning interesting and ensures you stay engaged. Tip: experiment with different methods until you find what works best for you. Keeping your practice fresh makes it easier to stay consistent. 6. Surround yourself with positive influences. The people you interact with can have a big impact on your motivation. Surround yourself with supportive friends, fellow learners, or encouraging family members. Sharing your goals and progress with others helps you stay accountable and motivated. Tip: join online language learning communities or find a language partner to practice speaking with. Being part of a positive learning environment makes the journey more enjoyable and keeps you moving forward. Embrace mistakes and learn from them. Mistakes are a natural part of learning any language. Instead of feeling frustrated when you make an error, try to see mistakes as opportunities to grow. Every mistake teaches you something new, and a positive mindset helps you turn these moments into valuable learning experiences rather than failures. Tip: when you make a mistake, don't be too hard on yourself. Reflect on what went wrong, learn from it, and use that knowledge to do better next time. Dealing with frustration. Even the most motivated learners feel frustrated sometimes. It's normal to feel stuck or discouraged. The key is not to let these feelings stop you. When you face difficulties, take a step back and breathe. Remind yourself that learning is a journey, not a race. Change your study routine or try a new method to refresh your mindset. Tip: short breaks and small changes can help you return to learning with a fresh perspective. Stay patient with yourself. Learning English takes time. You won't become fluent overnight, and that's perfectly okay. Each day, every little step brings you closer to your goal. Consistency and patience are more important than perfection. Tip: celebrate small victories and remember that progress over time is what leads to success. Conclusion: making English learning enjoyable and effective. Learning English doesn't have to feel overwhelming. By approaching it with the right mindset, using effective strategies, and practicing consistently, you can make the process enjoyable and effortless. Throughout this podcast, we've explored key strategies for learning English effortlessly. Understanding what effortless learning really means. Immersing yourself in the language through listening, reading, and speaking. Focusing on vocabulary and context. Practicing consistently, even in small amounts each day. Making learning fun and enjoyable. Staying positive and motivated. By integrating English into your daily life, learning becomes natural instead of forced. Remember, language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. Be patient with yourself. Focus on progress rather than perfection, and celebrate every small achievement. Everyone's learning journey is unique. Mistakes are normal, challenges are part of the process, and the important thing is to keep going. Whether you're just starting or have been practicing for a while, these strategies will help you stay consistent, motivated, and confident. English isn't just a language. It's a tool that opens doors to new opportunities, new cultures, and new ways of thinking. Keep your goals in mind, trust the process, and enjoy the journey. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. I hope these tips help you feel more confident and motivated in your English learning journey. Keep practicing, stay positive, and enjoy the ride. You've got this.